Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel and another episode here on the new Bremen is what I'm calling it. Midwest Horizon edit, if we're going to be real about it. New Bremen multiplayer server. So, yeah, this is the probably third episode, I would assume. I've still yet to edit the second episode as of recording this one. But as you can see, we're here doing some field fitting. It is April 1st already. So we have advanced some time. We've sold our oats off, which we had about 200,000 liters, which I think is like 5,000 bushels or something like that. That might be honestly completely wrong. Still really terrible at converting those two. So, yeah, fitting some fields here. We had both of the discs going in this field at once, actually, the last few days. So this is our biggest field. This is let's see, I want to say it's like 100 and something acre field. 53 hectare field. I wish we had the field info or whatever the mod is that tells you in acres. But anyway, yeah, so this is by far our biggest field. And we had both going, so we have our 60 foot here, and then we have like a 33 foot disc that's running on the 9220, I think is the model number, John Deere. But so we had one running on, we had this one started on the far east end of the field, and then the 30 foot started on this end, and we kind of met in the middle, and now we're just kind of finishing up just a few pieces that were left on this headland. And then we moved the 30 foot over to this field, which is actually 4 different fields, which Kyle and I have actually combined into one big field. We currently own this big field, these two, and then this area around the farm. So we've been doing a lot of field combining these last few months. Well, I guess just this last month during March, we did the combine, well, through February and March actually. Did that. Every acre that is available right now will be going into corn. You might ask why. Well, we aren't planning on doing any beans other than double crop beans. So, because we can double crop here in Ohio, we have a rotation essentially of corn into a grain, and then that grain into so we have corn, and then the next year it will be a grain, which then double crops into beans, and then that land the next year. So every 2 years we'll have corn on that ground. So it kind of works out that way. But yeah, we're just trying to get these fields fitted. I am alone right now on the server, as it's noon on a Thursday, so I didn't have any work today. So I am in the well, I did work. I actually cleaned up some didn't have chef work, but I cleaned power washed some planters and tractors and stuff for the farm that I work on. But I'm home already, daughter's away at my sister's house, spending the day with her cousins and stuff, so that's fun. But I decided to do a little recording on this multiplayer server, so we're just kind of driving around the edges quick to make sure we get the edges cleaned up so we can plant. So this will be our first field we plant because every other field needs fitted, so we did start on this one. So we'll head over here with the planter. We do need to haul some feed in for the pigs. Actually, in a spot right now where Kyle and we don't have any more feed, so we're using the Squatch Monkey's feed mill, so actually it just takes corn for pig feed, which is kind of nice. And yeah, so we'll probably hop over and do that. But as I was saying, we're in a spot right now where we need to get I'm just sorry. I'm like zoning because I feel like this. Did Kyle combine this part where the pivot used to be? I feel like he might have. I feel like he might have plowed that piece, but I'm not sure. Sorry. A little bit scatterbrained with this recording, but so we're in a spot right now where we're almost out of feed up at the feed mill. So luckily our pigs are at 6 months. I think they're called the porkers, I think. I'm not very familiar with pigs. Kyle, he's a pig, or he works on a pig farm for real, IRL. So he's kind of been guiding me in how pigs work, but yeah. So we're out of feed, but we're in a spot where the pigs are 6 months old, so we are just going to sell them off. And I think we're already at a point where every pig is double profit. From what I think we spent $200,000 on 1,020 pigs is what we have right now currently in just one of our barns. And they go through a pretty good amount of feed every month. So we're on 5-day months, and we're not using Maize Plus or anything like that at the moment. I think eventually we might, but at the moment they go through 70,000 liters of pig food throughout the month. So we have 40,000 liters left, I believe, and ignore the very unrealistic plow or fit job here. But yeah, so we got to sell our pigs, mostly because we have no feed, but also because it's time to sell them, which is nice. It kind of fell that way. So unfortunately we won't have any more pigs for a while because we don't have feed, so we're just not going to buy any more at the moment. The plan eventually is to run like 3,000 to 4,000 pigs. We'll fill up one of those barns with probably about 2,000 of those porkers, the male porkers, and then the other barn, because we do have 2 big hog barns, will be for like a breeding type operation, so we can kind of do it that way where we don't have to keep buying in, using half the money that we make to actually buy in the pigs. So that's kind of the plan. Sorry that it was so long-winded and scatterbrained, but yeah, just trying to think of how all that works. Like I said, not very familiar with it, but anyway, we also have land auctions coming up that I need to post, so we'll hop over to the planter tractor and the planter and we'll get that hauled over, and then I'll kind of explain how we go about land auctions on the server. Just coming out of the co-op here with a full tender of seed. We got our headlands done up at our big field, and we're already down to about 42%, I think is what it was. Somewhere in the 40s, maybe 46. But yeah, we had to get a tender loaded up and brought down to the field. We usually get pro boxes delivered. It's usually how we've been doing it, but I'm thinking for this fall we'll just kind of run up and back and forth to the co-op with the seed tender. Sometimes pro boxes are a little bit annoying on a server, at least for me, because I have lag sometimes. It's actually running really nice right now, luckily. Probably because it's the middle of the day while I'm recording and nobody is home besides me apparently and on the internet, so. Back in the saddle now. About ready to go on our second headland pass. I'm just going to do 2 with the 24 row because it's plenty of space to turn around. Yeah, so I was going to chat a little bit about the kind of field auction thing that we do here on this server between the 4 of us. Well, I guess 3 of us because Kyle and I are the same forum, but so I actually just posted the numbers of the fields that are now on auction. We do a field auction every spring, summer, fall, and winter. So we do one in, supposed to be March, but not all of us were. I don't think I played hardly at all in March. Kyle pretty much did everything in March. But I'm the one that kind of posts the numbers most of the time, so I didn't get to it. So we're doing it in April, but March, June, June, October, and then like December or January is usually when we do. But January we post 5 fields. September, or I mean in spring, summer, fall we only do 3. But it's all through a random number generator that just I found on Google, and we go fields, or we put in 1 through 254 or 250, 56, 254. I think that's the highest field number, and then I just hit roll and it picks. So the 3 fields that are up for auction now are actually this field, and it is track 40 or field, or yeah, track, we've been calling it a track. I don't know what that's from, but that's just something Pleasant did or started calling it, so I've been calling it 40. So this is, I think, the biggest field. Yeah, it is the biggest field that just came up for auction. So the way we do it is your initial bid has to be at the price that it is up for. So the first bid is 1,373,000, and then we just bid up from there. So most of the time the fields do go for more than what they are listed as, which is fine. It kind of makes it more realistic because I don't think the field prices are all that super realistic on this map. So yeah, so there was that. There's 40. And then getting a little lag right now. 40. The next one that came up was, oh jeez, might have to pay attention. So I'm not on GPS right now when we go east and west. Next one that came up was, what was it? 193. So it's this piece here, 431,000. That is a 49 acre field. And then tract 84, which is actually this farm area up here on the north. Little farm there. I don't think there's actually any farm buildings there right now, but there's a few different fields and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what's up for sale right now. So we're all gonna throughout the day probably put in our bids, and then we'll see what goes for. And I know Kyle and I are definitely going to be looking at that big field, because we want to. Plan is to get a pretty good size operation going. That's kind of what we want to do. Is get a big old operation going. Yeah, so it's kind of fun because it kind of makes it so your fields are kind of spread out. Not everything is right next to your main farm area, and yeah, it makes it interesting. Oh, and then we do have the rule where you can buy any piece of ground at any time. It's just always going to be double the price. So if you want to buy a piece that's 500,000, it's going to be $1 million to buy if you're just going to buy it straight up like that. So that is kind of how that works. I like it. It's one thing that I was thinking about implementing on my community server if we ever got that going. Obviously we haven't yet. One of the main reasons why that I haven't gotten that going yet is because when the guys and I were planning on setting this one up, we were going to use my server, but for some reason it just wouldn't work. The game would not start up. No idea why. But then all the same mods, same map and everything, Pleasant loaded into his, and it worked perfect. So I have no idea what the deal is there. But I kind of got to look into that. Maybe talk to G-Portal support or something like that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just weird, but we are planting through a whole lot of weeds. We're definitely going to have to come out here and spray it. Because it ain't going to be good for plant growth if we keep these weeds in here. So we'll post-plant spraying. But just about empty. 11% seed still, but while we're over here at the tender, we might as well top up. This little piece right here where the tender sits, kind of where we most of the time had our staging area. Is now actually owned by Ryan. Which Ryan is the green farm. So this little piece here, he won that in an auction, in the winter auction that we did. Spout down just for looks, 'cause it's cool. I think the fill trigger in that is actually just right dead center. Maybe. I'm not sure. Maybe not. Maybe I have to take the spout off. Just gotta actually get over the seed tank. So, does it work with the spout on? I don't want to see. Oh, it does. It's pretty cool, huh? Billing. All topped up and back to it. Oh, not yet, because we forgot to actually turn the planer on. There we go. Now we're back to it. Yeah, this is going to be quite a planting session here if I get this all done in one go, which I doubt it, because it's going to be probably a good hour or two to plant this whole thing, so might be relying on Kyle to finish this one up for me, but we'll see. Probably throw a little time lapse in for a bit, because there's a whole lot left to plant. I actually was starting to fit this first headland here on this field, but I forgot we got some slurry to spread on that one before we fit it, so we need to do that, because it's we got a lot of slurry to spread right now, and this is the time to do it before planting. So reduce the nitrogen that we're putting in through the planter. So luckily this field was in beans last year, so we have a little bit of nitrogen still already in this field, if you can see down in the bottom left. So we did not spread anything on this, didn't spread any liquid manure on this one. But now we're going to hit that pivot. At some point we need to get this pivot moved out. I might move this pivot out when I update the map. I'm not sure. Need to been having the hankering to start updating it a little bit. Plan is to add some silage corn that Squatch and Large H have on their maps. What else? The new alfalfa texture from Antler. I think it's Antler. Antler 22, I believe. Really good alfalfa texture. What else? Oh, add on to the town a little bit. That co-op area, we actually just built it in the save game, but I want to like actually add a actual co-op thing, like a nutrient ag or something like that, you know, a CPS or something. We got a lot of CPS. Well, we have both. We have a CPS and a nutrient around real close to me, like, yeah, there's a few different things like that really close in the farming area where I am. Kind of thought it would be kind of cool to add an ethanol plant, but oh jeez. We tap the pivot there. I need to try and not get so close. I'm being a little too greedy with my planter there. Gotta farm every inch you can. Keep up with my neighbors. Although I do think we are the biggest farm, at least right now. Wasn't really any rules on how we set up. Really the main thing for me was that, I mean, the reason why we set this up essentially was just Kyle and I were talking in one of his streams, and I said, Kyle, we should just do a multiplayer together and do some big scale farming, because we both enjoyed doing it. And then we opened it up to Tyler and Ryan, because they're good buddies, and they said they wanted to play. So Kyle and I kind of just set up our farm, and then everybody else just kind of followed suit. So Tyler, Pleasant View, sorry, he is the pink, or he's the orange, so he actually does farm quite a bit of land. But he's got some older stuff. That's kind of how he likes to play. Got older stuff, but yeah, he's only running a 12-row planter, so he's got a lot of he's got a lot of work ahead of him. So, but if you're willing to take it on, I guess it's kind of cool to do it that way. Definitely hard to be completely realistic in farm sim, because there's just things. I mean, you're obviously not putting in 40-hour days every day, so there's some things that you cut corners on, and I'm okay with that. So, but yeah, 12-row planter, he's going. So our bean planter is a 16-row right now. Honestly, it's only a 16-row because we didn't add the 12-row split row planters into the server yet. I would like to get the 12-row instead of the 16-row. We don't do a ton of bean acres, so it's like I don't really need a 16-row. Really, you don't really need a 24-row corn planter either, but because there's not really many options out there for 16-row or 12-row or whatever, we just went with a 24. We only run one corn head, so we run the Kloss combine on corn. At least last year we did. The plan is to upgrade our grain cart a little bit. We like the Kinsey carts, Kyle and I, so we're going to stick with the Kinsey brand, I believe, but we want to get a little bit bigger one. Really, with just one 12-row corn head on the Lexion, it definitely kept it busy. So if we were to add another corn head, it's gonna have to be an 8-row if we do that. We honestly, I think we might still try and just stick with one corn head this year, but I mean, all of our ground that we have is going to corn just for feed, honestly. So the oats and the beans, they're our profit crops, and the corn is for the pigs. So it's a lot of acres to farm with, or to harvest with just one 12-row, but it's definitely doable. Definitely doable. Alright, so now we get to use the GPS up and downs finally, which is nice. Yeah, we gotta get out here and spray this, burn down these weeds, that's for sure, before we get some. We're gonna have to use some pretty heavy chemicals, so we're gonna need to get out here before the crop pops up, because I don't want to burn crops. So, anywho, yeah, we'll throw this into a little bit of a time lapse and then call it an episode. So.